Yeah, boom to the hay, all you sports fans out there in the two-bowl sphere, made up of each and every one of you, the individual. One is the most important number. Welcome to Fast Track Sports Rack, highlights here on Talk Radio. Version of the OMSR with your brief but very concise host, Will, the alternative ESPN Sports Thrill. Gotta take you through the voiceover intro show. Thingy-linga-majing for this episode. Quickie reviews, thanks to college football final. Alright, yeah, it's got to be split up into many parts, pursuant to the DMCA. OMSR has always preached the tenets of that most key piece of legislation and allows a lot of this stuff to go on. Minimal use, fair use standard, all that good stuff. Alright, Nebraska versus Wisconsin, and Melvin Gordon goes off. Enough said, I'll let the highlights speak for themselves. Dude is definitely the best looking and best performing speed-wise. He's just got that Eric Dickerson kind of stride, but just a little bit quicker. You know, it's always, I'm not a big fan of the word exciting, you know, or exhilarating or things like that. But it's captivating, for sure, to watch him run. He's definitely got good kinesiology, biomechanics going on. Very fluid. And then, keeping with that theme, the other running back who had a lot of hype and praise coming into this year, Gurly in Georgia, number 9 Auburn, whom I was kind of annoyed with still seeing anywhere near the top 10 with 2 losses. And Georgia did a number on him, but they lose Gurly. First game they get him back. I'll let the highlights speak for themselves. Focus is on Melvin Gordon in Wisconsin and the Big Ten picture shape it up for the conference championship games. All the video highlights courtesy to ESPN, College Football Final, all the respective universities. Everything else to the OMSR. Alright, thanks for watching. No silly DUIs while you're up there. Roll clips.
His Frogs found a way and won it by 4. The Big Ten West Showdown is in the highlight lounge. Nebraska was dreaming of various scenarios that would somehow put the Cornhuskers in the college football playoff picture. But you see, Nebraska's dreams never include Melvin Gordon. That's a nightmare. The last time they faced him, 9 carries, 216 yards, in the Big Ten championship game a couple of years ago. That was a mere undercard for what Gordon would do today. By the way, in a semi-related story, Ladainian Tomlinson once had 406 yards rushing in a single game. File that one away. Melvin Gordon and Wisconsin against Nebraska. They fell behind 17-3. Marking Gordon had fumbled a couple of times. Look at the agility.
Oh, terrific job. Hurdling the defender, keeps stride, goes into the score.
That's worth another look, Lou. I know you love coaching. You can't coach this.
No, you really don't, but you're recruited. But I'll tell you what, a back like him makes your offensive lineman block better.
Are you kidding? Look at these numbers. First half, 16 carries, 238 yards in the first half against this previously stout Nebraska defense.
But he didn't have a real good second half.
Oh, he had a good enough second half, and we'll show you plenty of it. The 238 yards would put him on track to chase down Ladainian Tomlinson, who in 1999 put up 406 against UTEP. This is not UTEP. This is the Black Shirts. This is Nebraska. Nebraska's still in the game now. It's 24-17, but Wisconsin keeps going to Melvin.
Just a fabulous job of open field blocking by the wide receivers down the field of play, and Melvin Gordon does a terrific job of following his blockers, gets to the sidelines and takes it down to the 1.
He's now 111 yards away from the record, and now Wisconsin is up by a couple of touchdowns. Looks like maybe Corey Cooper had a shot at him there, but Gordon slips in right behind him, and he's off to the races again. Another big run. Gordon now just 43 yards away from the record. He would finish this drive with a 6-yard touchdown and only 24 yards away. And from the 26-yard line, why not get the record in style? And before they even do jump around at Camp Randall, not even to the 4th quarter. And Ladainian Tomlinson congratulates Melvin Gordon on setting the record. 408 yards on 25 carries. Jump around and dance in deep. What a performance by Melvin Gordon in the 59-24 victory for Wisconsin. And by the way, saw those big runs? Nebraska came into this game, they had allowed only 3 runs all season of 35 yards or longer. Gordon had 6 in this game.
And you talk about an impressive performance by Melvin Gordon in the offense. Everything has to go perfect. You have to make sure that it's flawless. Everybody's got to get a block. In this game for Wisconsin, no one missed a block. Melvin Gordon had terrific vision, knew where to go with the football, knew exactly where he wanted to cut with the football, and then he just took it to the house. Very few Nebraska defenders touched him today because he was so explosive with the football.
But let's remember this. He had a great career coming into this game. This is somebody who does this week after week after week. You just don't expect 408 yards. I think in 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Not in 5, not in 6. I mean, it was just an incredible experience. But I agree with you. The offensive line has to play very, very well, and they did. They really do a great job. And I don't know what it is about Wisconsin, but they always have great running backs, and they can run the football.
Well, Gordon set that record, the single game records. By the way, 25 carries. Ladainian Tomlinson did his in 43, not to take away from LT. So Gordon has a single game record. Ron Dane has the career all-time rushing yards record, and Monte Ball has the career rushing touchdowns record. So all those guys, Wisconsin backs, on Wisconsin with running backs.
Something in the water in Wisconsin, I think.
It's the big lineman up front.
It's the cheese.
The weather you're going to be, you want to focus on being able to run the ball.
Dairy.
Build your offense for inclement weather, because that happens in the Midwest. But, boy, let's give Gary Anderson, the coach, and the staff an awful lot of credit in the offensive line.
No doubt. The history of this, so if you look, Gary Anderson, Brett Bielema, Barry Alvarez, this is how it's done there. This is how they're supposed to do it. Big offensive linemen, get the job done up front. You get big, powerful backs that can run downhill. He's 6'1", 210 pounds, big, physical, strong guys. That's what Wisconsin does.
And Barry Alvarez, the one that started this, now the athletic director. I mean, he started that. We're going to be big. We're going to be physical. We're going to punish people, and they've been doing it now since 1989 when Barry first went there.
All right, so Wisconsin now is in control in the Big Ten West. They only have 1 conference loss. They're going to finish with a game at Iowa, and then they'll play Minnesota at home. They already have the tiebreaker against Nebraska. So now, if Wisconsin can stay on top, make it to the Big Ten championship game, they're limited in their passing attack for sure. What kind of threat will they pose to Ohio State, assuming we get a Wisconsin-Ohio State Big Ten championship game matchup?
If Melvin Gordon and the offensive line performs like this today,
can they perform like that against Michael Bennett and Joey Bosa and that Ohio State defense?
Go study the history of Wisconsin versus Ohio State. You'll find Wisconsin's had tremendous success against Ohio State, probably as good as any team in the Big Ten has had. I think they will match up very, very well against Ohio State. They'll quit themselves well.
There's a different team every week.
Different team every week. But Gordon's the same every week. That's one sucker isn't the same.
And you know what? He might have very well put himself right in the middle. He did. Middle of the high school.
I tell you, I think it's he and Marcus Mariota. Do you want a quarterback? Do you want a running back?
Let's see how those two guys finish. Dak Prescott happen from us, champ, but not working well. Auburn and Georgia. Todd Gurly back after serving a 4-game suspension for the whole autograph deal, but it was Nick Chubb, Mark, who took over.
He does a terrific job. Following his offensive line, look at these road graders right there on the right side, just pushing the power. Chop, chop, chop. Keep those feet moving to the finish right into the end zone.
Dogs 14-7 in the center. David Andrews celebrating. Now here goes Gurly, Lou.
Oh, he came up with another great game. I think Chubb had 144 yards and Gurley had 138 yards rushing.
Georgia hammering Auburn 24-7. Probably want to make sure they didn't throw any Hail Marys against them. Now this was the toughest part of the night. Gurley on a routine running play went down in pain and grabbed his knee. They're going to check it out. Had ice on it, went to the locker room. Georgia won it 34-7. Question is, was it a Pyrrhic victory? Will they lose? Todd Gurly. Georgia gets the victory, and they need Missouri to lose. Missouri taking on Texas A&M, 20-20 in the 3rd quarter. Russell Hansbrough had himself a night, Mark.
What a fabulous run right here. He just is so patient following his blockers, does a terrific job of reading them and takes them to the score.
Wasn't just Hansbrough, Ish Witter. Make it Ish. touchdown. Now on a 4th down play, A&M's got this set up beautifully, it appears, but Cameron cleared just for a split second, bobbled the throwback, got stopped on the 4th down, and Pinkel's team wins it 34-27. So now this is how it goes in the SEC East. Georgia, Hayes in the barn. No more conference games. They have to sit around and hope Missouri loses. Now this despite the fact that Georgia destroyed Missouri. But that's the only conference loss Missouri has, while the Dogs have lost to South Carolina and Florida. When Georgia plays the way it did against Auburn Saturday night, you go, how in the world did they lose to South Carolina and Florida? But they did, and so they're now sitting back and waiting and hoping that perhaps they get into the SEC championship game, which they will if Missouri loses either of its final 2 games. So now you've had a little bit of chaos. You've had the number of undefeated teams in the Power 5 cut down to just Florida State. So your playoff bracket now, how did it change? How does it look?
Well, mine changed drastically because Florida State convinced me they know how to win. I moved them up to number 1. Alabama's number 2. I put Oregon number 3, even though they're open, and Baylor because they beat TCU. I have Ohio State 5, who's very strong, and TCU. I just know that I think are the 6 best teams right now. I wish we'd go to 8 because I could add 2 more and justify it.
That's a nice bracket. Mine's changed a lot, too, because I've got Alabama number 1. When you defeat the number 1 team in the nation and you're number 5, you deserve to be number 1. Oregon was number 2. And Florida State still finding ways to win. I'm going to put them at number 3. Mississippi State, they're only falling from 1 to 4. SEC West, tough competition, what they've done. Baylor, TCU, they're still 4 and 5.
If you wound up with a semifinal like that was a conference rematch, would you prefer to see the committee move it a little bit and make sure they couldn't meet until the finals, or just however it comes out, it comes out?
However it comes out, it comes out.
I think they'd rather the 2 teams meet in the semifinals so there'd only be 1 in the final. That's the way it works.
That's another way to look at it.